Hello Crate and fellow playtesters. Got Bolvar the blood drinker here. I just thought I'd post this video quickly for Bolvar to show you how the totem build handles bosses. So that's the end of Bolvar. About the only bosses that it has trouble with is the ones in the Forgotten Depths that have a pretty high vitality resistance. Okay, the idea of this build was to stack vitality damage. You can see it's not using a lot of really optimised gear, it's just sort of being cobbled together more or less. Got a couple of nice bits, although not really the optimal pieces, to make the build really shine. But I've got a couple of nice bits, a couple of rares that are helping it along, and the rest of it is just a matter of equipping epics that help to buff vitality damage and give it a bit of survivability. So I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Use the Corpse Desecrator for its vitality damage and vitality decay. I don't think the vitality decay is conferred to the totems, but the percentage vitality damage is definitely conferred to the totem damage. It gives me a bit of offensive ability, which is pretty handy because the totems are relying on my offensive ability to hit mobs and to crit. So I grabbed that as well, just pulled that out of the stash, mainly for, once again, the vitality, bit of skill cooldown reduction and the cast speed. And obviously a little bit of offensive ability doesn't go astray. Energy usage on this build is pretty negligible. As you can see, I've got more than enough energy. Never come close to using any of it. That's mainly because I've pumped the spirit stat up, obviously trying to get more damage. I grabbed that for the Mogs Pact and some regen. You could probably make it really nice. You might even be able to make a half decent totem build using Nature's Bounty. Ideal affixes would be either Dreadlords of Dragul or Dreadlords of Nature's Bounty, and you could, if you got enough pieces with those some nicely rolled stats on it, this build would fucking kick ass. It'd be a very, very solid build. Hard to kill. Actually, it'd be extremely hard to kill, and do a reasonable amount of damage so that you were clearing most areas at a fairly rapid rate. We just grabbed some poison resistance because I seem to always have trouble, plus the extra on Mog's Pact. Running Ancestor mainly for the plus on Shaman skills, and obviously a bit of defensive ability, total damage can't go astray. I'm not really interested in the pets, but the other bonuses were pretty good. Chains of Anguish, get to use the 59% to total damage without incurring the penalty of the anguish. Once again, these sort of builds are excellent for that. Can't really do it with a pet build, but this sort of build that is running directly off player bonuses, you can use the Chains of Anguish without, as long as you don't attack, obviously, you have to forego your own attack except in extreme circumstances. So obviously then all the negative all the negative damage comes into effect against your totems as well once that's triggered. So as long as you don't attack, you can actually make really good use of the Chains of Anguish with this build without any real downside, obviously, except that you're not able to attack. Picked up the Dreadlords, obviously, because that is the affix that would go with this build. The primary affix, obviously, because you're trying to stack vitality damage. And found one with some half reasonable offensive and defensive ability stats. You obviously get much better rolls than that, but that was just what I grabbed out of the stash at the time. Boots of Unseen Swiftness helps me get around, get through the levels quicker, obviously, because I've leveled up that many fucking times. I actually enjoy these boots now, and for a build like this where you can actually stay out of the melee if you want, these boots, once again, it's a bit like the Chains of Anguish. You can use the boots without incurring the penalty too often. Spellbinders, mainly for the cast speed, total damage, offensive ability, spirit. Elemental damage. Because I believe the elemental damage stacks onto the lightning damage, which is then converted to vitality damage. Although I could be wrong about that. I'll have to have a closer look at that. That may just be that I'm getting a straight vitality conversion from the base damage on the totem, on the storm totem itself. It's not actually converting, it's not actually taking into account that I've got any elemental damage or lightning damage bonuses. So I'm going to have a closer look at that, although I believe it works that way. I believe the elemental damage counts towards your lightning damage, which is then converted to vitality damage. Because these seem to make a difference. The Mark of Illusions on the Quickening Gem, that's why I chose that, because of the lightning, once again, and the cast speed. I wasn't sure earlier whether cooldown reduction or cast speed affected the Storm Totem, but it definitely scales off cast speed. If I remove gear that's got cast speed on it, I definitely notice a reduction in damage, or at least in the tool tip, in the skill bar tip. It shows you what the current DPS for the skill is. So we grab that, and obviously that. Once again, vitality, and get the plus on Arcanist. Dreadlords, the Dread Skull, of course, and of course Killerain's Shattered Soul, very handy, and also the Haunted Steels, very handy once again. So basically that's the gearing for this build. It's only, you can see it's just cobbled together. Tried to make the most of what I could out of what I could just grab out of the stash pretty quickly once I got here. But you could optimise it a lot further, like I said, with a Dreadlords of Dragul's gear, or a Dreadlords of Nature's, what is it, Nature's Bounty. Obviously, if you're not playing HC, you can probably just go full-on offensive and try to get the double vitality stats on your rares, which would probably give it insane damage. At the moment, I'm seeing damage values against higher level mobs easily around the 3,500 mark. without crit bonuses. Although there's a huge damage fluctuation because, as you can see, we'll open this up. You can see that there's a massive damage fluctuation there because the damage is originally lightning damage, as opposed to the Wendigo totem, which has just got a flat rate of fixed vitality damage. This, on the other hand, you're seeing you can sometimes hit them for like 400 or 500, and other times you can hit them for 3,000 or 4,000, which makes it pretty interesting. I don't mind that too much. The fact that it's just scaled straight off the lightning damage. It can be a little bit annoying at times because there's times when you wish shit would die a bit quicker, and it doesn't because you're just doing the bottom end of the scale damage in 2 or 3 consecutive hits. But then you've got other times where the shit dies instantly because you're hitting it at the top end of the scale. As you can see, the numbers in the tooltip don't accurately reflect the amount of damage that I'm actually doing because they don't convert. They don't take into consideration the conversion to vitality damage. I did post that up on the forum earlier. So this doesn't actually benefit from that at all. So really the best way to build this is pretty much the way I've got it set up. Just stacking your totems and then pulling out some defense from Moggox and its first modifier, and then I chose to go with the Arcanist, so I am rocking it as a druid. I'm just taking in a focus mainly for the offensive ability plus the extra damage that the spirit brings, and mental alacrity obviously for the cast speed, because the skill, supposedly the damage scales off cast speed. I've yet to have a really good look at it to see just how useful the extra cast speed is, as opposed to just stacking higher flat damage or higher percentage damage. Because of the way the totem's functioning, I think the cast speed side of it is somewhat negligible. The totem seems to have trouble acquiring targets after a couple of seconds after its initial cast, especially once the targets in its immediate area are all destroyed. Targets that are coming in from outside or further away, it seems a bit slower in acquiring. You can see it's working all right there, but sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so he's not going to, he'll get that. So I think obviously it's got to come, targets have got to come within range of the lightning bolt first, and then you get that excellent chain lightning effect, provided you hit the target, obviously, which then will extend its range. Sometimes it can extend its range way out to here, sort of thing, which gives it a really quite a decent range, and picking up 5 targets makes it fairly useful. Really enjoy chain lightning or lightning arc sort of skills. There we go. So Wendigo totem countering the effects of the venom there. Really, this build sort of relies on using both totems together. If you want to run the build efficiently, you really need 2 totems. And personally, I'd love to be able to cast 2 lightning totems, so I've got the option to run a fully offensive totem build. Because at the moment now, I'm actually using a lot of the defensive ability of the Wendigo totem, obviously the close damage close quarters damage plus its healing ability, and the build wouldn't function as well if I didn't have that. That in itself is quite an intelligent design, forcing the player to pick both totems and then having both totems different, operating fundamentally differently to each other. Mixes up the gameplay and actually forces the player to stay closer to the totems, especially the Wendigo totem. There are times when the healing ability is not enough to keep you out of trouble, but generally speaking, the healing ability from the Wendigo totem is quite useful in most situations. So it's actually worth hanging around it. Plus you're getting the 600 odd vitality each pulse, which does definitely help. Once the mob's getting close, it does definitely help to clear them off substantially quicker. Alright, we found the entrance to the Chthonic Rift, to the Void. So we'll go in here and show you a bit of gameplay against some challenge area mobs and see how we do. So you can see the lightning actually ends up with quite a good range when it can bounce around. And he's having trouble obviously damaging the chthonic beings. I'm guessing that they've got pretty good vitality resistance. So there's always the consideration that when you come to something like this, you could take the transmuter off it and use it as lightning damage. Alright, so so we're not really having much success with charges there. Anything that moves quickly toward the player that can't be killed quickly is going to be a problem for this sort of build. But the benefit is that I don't have to stop and attack it. I can actually keep mobile and eventually just win a war of attrition. Because eventually my totems will finish it off. This is where having two lightning, two storm totems would be a lot better. Having that option to forego your defensive totem in favour of another offensive totem would actually pick up the pace of the gameplay. And still, I don't believe it would be overpowered, because you can see, provided I can stay close to that defensive totem, it does actually provide a fair bit of durability. So it's not like it's useless and I'm just trying to get rid of it because there's no point in it being there. I just would like to see slightly quicker resolution of encounters, especially against bosses with the vitality damage and that. Bosses that are resistant to vitality damage and heavy bosses that have got a lot of hit points. It does slow gameplay down considerably. Even more so than your pet builds and that sort of thing. Alright, so now we're in trouble. I'll get a bit of healing from the old Wendigo, and then here we go. So these guys that can trap me are giving me a bit of grief there, but fortunately able to bust out the old Wendigo when it was needed and helped to keep me alive there in the encounter. Ouch. Oh, for some reason he's, I don't know whether he should attack me or not. Alright, so this guy's a bit doughy, that's alright, it's good for me. On that bud, you can be a bit doughy. Alright, he was an easy kill mainly because his AI wasn't the greatest. He just really couldn't figure out what to do about it. So against your trash mobs, obviously, just the lightning totem by itself is quite useful. But once again, I emphasise for this particular build, using both totems is pretty much imperative. The build does play, obviously it does play a lot better with both totems, and you can see how the utility aspect of the Wendigo totem has helped me out a couple of times now. Alright, this looks like a more serious encounter. Managed to duck in the cover there before they could fuck me over. Well, I'm going to save the Wendigo. That. They're forcing me into a corner. I'm going to get out of there. The other thing is the cast range on the totems isn't that great either. You've actually got to get pretty close to where you want to cast it to drop the thing. Which, once again, is obviously a design choice to balance the power of the totems. The fact that you don't have to actually attack personally, that you can stay. Oh yes, here we go, another treasure trove. Awesome. I notice this build is a lot more generous with the iron as well. Iron drops from heroes, even though I'm seeing less rare and epic items, I'm certainly seeing more iron dropping from heroes in this build, which might help the situation where players are trying to buy useful items but not being able to afford them until such a point in the game where they probably don't need them anymore. And it's probably better, they'd be better off trying to craft them because you get better rolls on the affixes. Alright, here's our treasure trove. These are pretty cool. Takes one dynamite to open the fucker, and that's what comes out. So that was a nice little drop. Up my wealth by easily a couple of thousand iron bits. Right, so just keep playing through here. Oh, stuck. Paying attention. Come on, totems. Let's do it. So you can see how low some of these damage numbers are against these guys. And I'm guessing mainly because of their vitality resistance. Oh no! Smashed. There you go. That's what comes of fucking it out. Alright, there's a bit of feedback, and obviously you can see that even though the totems have got a fair bit of use, you have to be careful how you're going to use them. I wouldn't consider them overpowered, and I would love to see the option to forego the defensive totem in place of a second offensive totem. Maybe even have the second one, maybe even drop both of them to 75% of their damage, so you're not getting an actual double damage sort of setup, but where you're getting certainly more damage than you would with one, but balancing the power output by reducing their overall damage output on each one. So that could be another trade-off for the ability to have two offensive totems. So in that situation I'd have probably done a lot better with two offensive totems, and just tried to stay out of the way. But I thought, and also you could see too that the storm totem was having trouble selecting the targets properly as well. But yeah, bad decision on my behalf to try to engage that fucking dude. So anyway, there's my initial feedback for a basic totem build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly am. Just want to say cheers, Crate. Well done. Awesome fucking catch. Awesome job. Awesome job on the Praetorian armour too. That's really, really nice of you guys to do that for us. The inscription was great too. Appreciate it. Appreciate it much. Thanks a lot. See you later.